I just don't understand the point of making your thighs that big when you could just get like a bunch of dick piercings or something. Like if you want to have a freakish body, there's so many other routes.
What if you ultimately want to allow your thigh to be eaten by a medieval king?
Do you think that is their fetish?
That someone gnaws at their thigh?
Yeah.
I didn't start recording this until late in this conversation, so there's no context for this. We're talking about Mr. Olympia bodybuilders. And their
thighs have gotten...
Yeah. I don't know if you've checked in on these guys. Like we were we were talking about how we've last sort of looked at these bodies maybe 6 or 8 years ago. And they looked absolutely absurd at that point, of course. But
there's a new thing.
Yeah, the new thing is their thighs. Whatever new thing that they're injecting into themselves is making them
allowing them to have disproportionately, in the way that like a person who is taking a bunch of steroids to get big has a disproportionately thick neck. They now also have disproportionately thick thighs.
Yeah, they're absolutely insane looking and meant to be eaten as a drumstick by a medieval king.
Yes, it's
at a Renaissance
leg.
fair. Yeah. This isn't on our outline, but I just glanced at the World Wildlife Fund catalog on the counter, and I have some upsetting news for you.
Oh, yeah?
The World Wildlife Fund is doing NFTs now.
Well, that doesn't sound right. No. I don't think so.
It's one of the most depressing sentences you can say.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. We don't have to have a big conversation about that.
Do they understand how NFTs work?
Does anybody?
I don't know. But if they're making them.
I think you just say a thing's an NFT when it's a JPEG.
If you don't literally set 10 square kilometers of rainforest on fire, then you can't prove that it's an NFT.
Yeah, that's how you get on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Is setting 10 square kilometers of rainforest on fire.
I think so.
I did look into how to make an NFT, and I'm convinced it is, in 100% of cases, owning a JPEG. But
yes, everyone understands that it is. I mean, it can also be a GIF. It is a piece of art.
The real scam is it costs like $100 in blockchain fees to make an NFT.
Yeah, someone's making bank on that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where the real money is. We need to make a brokerage where you buy your NFT certification. I don't even know.
Long alphanumeric code.
I hate this. Why did you put daylight saving time on the outline? Why does it say daylight saving time? Did we not discuss that for like 20 minutes in the last episode?
Oh man, did we? Yeah, I mean we did. We're recording this at an unorthodox time for us, which is it is currently 6:50. I never say exactly the time we're recording it, but it's 6:50 p.m. on Saturday, November 6th. We're recording for release on this coming Friday. It is dusk outside. I guess the sun is down at this point, but tomorrow at this point it will be extremely dark.
Horrible.
I hate it. So this is the last episode we record before we have to go into seasonal affective disorder.
Time. Increased risk of heart attack time.
Whoa, is that real?
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's a statistically significant uptick in all kinds of whack shit, like car accidents and heart attacks and stuff when the time change happens.
How does that compare to the increase in heart attack risk that comes with your thigh being 3 feet in circumference?
It's
We
not
started
as
talking
bad
about
as
this
that.
because, like, Mr. Olympia 2018 just died of a heart attack. Of course, it's hard. I don't know how their
I'm
hearts
sure
don't explode at
unrelated
all.
to any program of body modification or steroids that he might have been consuming.
I don't know how the heart had enough blood in it to attack itself when all of that blood is in those big old veins in his incredible thighs. But
Well, look, neither of us have colossal thighs, but you're Roman.
you're Allison. And if you want to own an NFT of this podcast, which I assume is a JPEG of our logo, send us an offer for 0x81C587EB0 lowercase f E773404 lowercase c42 lowercase c1 lowercase d2666 lowercase b5f557 uppercase c470 lowercase e uppercase ed. We'll see what we can do.
Wait, can you just explain? So you made an NFT?
No, I just Googled what is an example of a
Oh.
NFT address.
All right.
So presumably that's actually something else. It's city business. It's city business. Okay, so like we said, we're recording this, it's dark outside. So I've sundowned. It's over for me. Today we're doing actually the 2021 version of a catalog that we did at this time last year for Thanksgiving because it's an herb catalog. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. It's the Richters herb catalog. Do you think we should do this every year as a Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think we should do whatever we want at all times.
Wow.
I don't want to commit to doing an annual tradition where we have to do one specific catalog for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Sell me on it. Tell me how great this catalog is, and then I'll consider it. But
well, the thing is,
how many neo-Nazis do they secretly support? Like, what was it?
oh, that's Baker Creek you're talking about.
I'm talking about Baker Creek.
Yeah. Well, these people did immigrate from Germany in the 50s, so it's hard to know what their background is exactly, the founders of this catalog. But I don't know. I think like the McElroys watch Paul Blart 2 every single Thanksgiving season.
Yeah, but that's for a specific podcast they have. Do you want to start a spin-off podcast where once a year we make an episode where we talk about the same catalog over and over again? Because that's what they do.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. We're
talking about Till Death Do Us Blart.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great podcast. Last year, when we looked at the Richters 2020 catalog, it was right after the election, and we were extremely hungover during it, and we ranted about Cal Cunningham.
Oh man, fuck that
guy. And
this is all his fault.
And we threatened to do a spin-off podcast called Cal Cunningham Owes Me $25. So anyway, stay tuned for our CD short next week. So we've had some serious weather here over the last couple days. It got real cold, and by real cold, I mean like 60 degrees. And we've had a nor'easter here that has intersected with the king tide, which is the sort of highest tide of the year here. So there has been extensive flooding in town, and just a ton of rain over the last 2 days. We emerged this morning from the house to find that, well, our power was out.
First, we woke up and it was extremely dark and cold and everything because our power
was out, and it's the latest sunrise of the year. So it was pretty disorienting when we were up at 8 a.m. and it was just pitch black, basically, and pouring rain, and we didn't have power. But then we left the house to find our kumquat tree had been toppled by the wind. So I guess what's in the garden?
Then let us cultivate our garden. It's the only way to make life endurable.
What's in the garden?
A lot of water.
Yeah.
Not much to report. I mean, I know that format and structure is very important to a podcast, but the garden is pretty well fucked. I think we've got to get some houseplants and start doing a houseplant report.
Good idea. I can't remember if we've said this outright on the podcast, but we've been thinking now that we don't have Lucy here that we can get some houseplants for the first time.
We did discuss that on the episode we recorded.
Okay.
Most proximate to Lucy's death. I don't know if it made it in the final episode.
I can't remember, but yeah, I think we will do that and we can report on that. I will say that the kumquat tree, though it was toppled, appears to have largely survived the toppling. We've put it in the garage for the day, but we'll pull it out again tomorrow. It only lost a few fruits, I guess, of its many fruits at this point. So I'm going to eat one of them.
Yeah, you're insisting on eating it unripe.
Well,
and unprocessed.
Importantly, I ate one of them like months ago now when it was still little, and I thought, that's not too bad. So this is an almost ripe kumquat at this point. So here we go.
Oh, I can't believe you're doing this on mic. You're going to cut biting and chewing sounds, right? Because it's unbearable.
I usually, when I eat something, I cut 75% of the chewing sound durationally. All right, well, I mean, I don't know what to say, except it's closer to being ripe than when I last ate one that was not yet ripe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's still going. Okay, so like I said, we're going to look at the Richters 2021 Urban Vegetable Catalog today.
Not urban vegetable, but herb and vegetable.
Yeah, why do you say that?
Oh, because just the way you said it sounded like urban vegetable to me.
Well, what I was going to say is, so this is founded by some Germans. You may have noticed that they spell catalog with a UE on the end instead of ending in the G, which is something I struggled with at the outset of this podcast. My instinct was to spell it with a UE, but then I saw that American spelling is typically with just a G at the end.
Yep.
So I adopted that, as most of our catalogs did. But this catalog spells it Catalogue. And additionally, I listened to a YouTube video of Otto and Waltraud Richter's son, who took it over, Konrad Richter, talking, and he pronounces it herb. So I guess that's, a Germanic pronunciation of the English word herb as well. So I think it is completely right to call this the Richter's Herb and Vegetable Catalog.
All right.
When we looked at this last year...
it's also from Canada.
That's true, yeah.
This is a Canadian company.
It's a Canadian company. They immigrated to Ontario, I believe. I don't have it up in front of me.
I just flipped it over and I saw the return address is in Canada.
Is it in fact Ontario?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when we looked at this catalog last year, it was before we started doing any sort of deeper profiling of the background of the catalog. So this was founded by Otto and Waltraud Richter in 1967. They're sort of credited for popularizing the use of culinary herbs in the United States. Today they offer about 700 herb varieties that ship globally. We also, having recently listened to last year's episode, did not really talk about the design of the catalog at all. So do you want to tell me, as usual, you have the physical catalog in front of you?
I can see why we didn't discuss it, which is that it's like so sort of middle of the road. There's not a lot to talk about. It's on the smaller side, which is nice. It's not one of those huge paper sizes.
Yeah, it's the half-fold catalog size.
It's got pictures. They're fine. It's printed on newsprint, which I prefer.
It's color throughout.
It's all color. I mean, again, the photos are fine. They're not beautiful.
They're fairly low res, I think.
Yeah.
Oddly.
The catalog is, as you say, full color. I'm not sure they're using that to their best advantage. Like they've chosen each category heading to be in red font, but they use sort of a light green bar to separate things. So they've got like red type going over a green bar. As a person with color vision, I don't think that looks great. And probably a person
who was
who's
colorblind
colorblind
would
would
have a real problem
struggle
with that,
to read
yeah.
it. You know, I mean, whatever. It's like, it could definitely be worse. There's nothing about it that stands out as particularly beautiful or elegant or so incompetent that we should spend a lot of time
It has
dissecting it.
It has a 2-column layout. I think it is, I alluded to it a moment ago, but it is worth saying that the pictures, while being in color, are like weirdly low resolution, I think.
It's printed on newsprint and it's printed with the same, it looks like a newspaper. The printing style they're using, the ink, like the pigment density, right? Like photos in a newspaper don't look that good.
Sure.
Or, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's been a long time since I handled a print newspaper, but I seem to recall that they also are sort of
Are you kidding? We get
mediocre.
The St. Augustine Beach newspaper delivered to our house once a month that's like 5 pages long.
Okay, well, this is like that. This looks like that.
It does look like that. I'm looking at the PDF, and the images are also very low resolution in it.
That's because they want to make them NFTs. You need it to be pixelated.
You don't get the full resolution unless you buy that hash for some reason. And they'll give you a full resolution image of Frencham lemon geranium.
Yeah, I mean, the cover is whatever. They've got it divided into 6 blocks. 5 of them have a close-up picture of some herb. And then the 6th block says 2021 Herb and Vegetable Catalogue.
Well, the top left-hand block is worth talking about.
Yeah, it says parsley, herb of the year. 2021, the year of parsley.
Congratulations to parsley. Been named herb of the year.
What?
Finally
does that
coming into
mean?
its own in the year 2021. Ignored for centuries. Finally, parsley getting its day.
Was there an herb of the year last year?
Well, go to the inner cover and will you read the parsley herb of the year blurb?
Parsley is the herb of the year for 2021 as selected by the International Herb Association. And no wonder. It is such a versatile and indispensable herb, and it is hard to imagine any kitchen without it. Fresh chopped parsley is fundamental in soups and stews, in salads, and on vegetables, fish, meat, and eggs. It brightens other flavors, adding a fresh, earthy balance that makes you want to smack your lips when the cooking is done. Disgusting. Horrible. Parsley wasn't always the culinary star it is today. Half a century ago, it was mostly used as a garnish for decoration and not added to food for flavor. The visual appeal of fresh parsley sprigs on the plate helped to stimulate the appetite, but the sprigs would be discarded with the kitchen scraps. Like the pauper who doesn't know the riches he has, cooks and diners missed out on parsley's rich flavors and all the health benefits in the rich stores of antioxidants and phytonutrients that come in every sprig.
Okay, so I'm sorry, the visual appeal of a parsley sprig on a plate stimulates the appetite? First of all, they're claiming half a century ago it was used as a garnish for decoration. I wasn't alive half a century ago, but I was eating food 30 years ago and remember eating food. And I remember parsley as food at that point.
Well, actually, I was going to say, I recall a lot of when they say they're not talking about fine dining. If you went to a kind of crappy diner and you ordered the blue plate special, it was going to have a little sprig of parsley on there and you weren't supposed to eat it.
What were you supposed to do with it? Have your appetite stimulated by it?
Yeah, it was there as a kind of benediction. Yeah. A witchcraft.
Hold on. What the fuck is that?
Like there would be like a little slice of lemon and a little sprig of parsley
or something. But a lemon
or
makes all the sense in the world because you want to squirt it on your food to get some of that good lemon juice and goo on it.
Well, that makes sense for like fish or something, but like a razor thin slice of lemon, you're not squeezing that on anything.
So I just pulled up a Bon Appetit article from 2016. Okay, so the thing about the parsley garnishes is it was uniformly curly parsley, and what we cook with
Is
now
flat
is
leaf.
universally flat
Yeah,
leaf.
that's right.
Yeah.
But the point is that that was the main way the average American encountered parsley, right? Was it would be on their plate for just absolutely no reason.
Right. Here's a quote. It's from that Bon Appetit article. As far back as 1974, James Beard was already commenting on the ubiquity of parsley, which then came almost entirely in curly form. He said, "If I had to pick 6 herbs I couldn't cook without, I'd settle for basil, bay leaf, rosemary, savory," which I don't know what that means, tarragon, and thyme. Parsley too, of course, but that is so universal it goes without saying.
Well, savory, I guess we should check out the savory section. There's summer savory and winter savory, and they're different plants, I believe. So now I'm curious which one of them he meant as the default savory.
Yeah. So I guess this article is making the claim that curly parsley, which was, ubiquitous now that I'm remembering through our childhood as garnish, was just harder to work with, basically, and tasted worse than flat leaf parsley.
Yeah.
And I guess it mostly stopped being used as garnish in the recession of 2008. Like that was
every restaurant was like
cutting,
we're cutting
they were
that
having,
out.
they had razor thin margins that they were trying to cut wherever they could. So out goes the curly parsley, I guess.
Well,
Making
whatever.
a huge
It was a
comeback.
huge waste anyway.
Huge comeback as herb of the year now.
What a rags to riches story.
Well, why don't we read some parsley descriptions? Under the main heading of parsley, it reads, "Parsley cannot be surpassed for its versatility in the kitchen. It underlines the flavor of foods without being dominant and complements almost every dish. Fresh green appearance and fragrant aroma delight the eye and stimulate the appetite." Again, claiming that how cool it looks makes your appetite grow.
That's absurd. And frankly, I'm a little insulted. Yeah.
Why don't you read some of the curled group parsley?
Absolutely not. I refuse to even entertain the curled parsley.
All right. Well, you read.
They're like, hey, listen, this is total bullshit that does absolutely nothing.
All right, listen.
That's how they're selling it to you, is as 100% horse shit.
Listen, why don't you read from the plain leaf group and I will read from the curled group. I'll take the hit.
But what's the point of the curled stuff? They said it tastes like shit and nobody wants it. They're very clear about that.
Well, there look to be a couple interesting descriptions in there. So
okay.
Start us off with something from the flat group. Why don't you read Festival 68 parsley?
Festival 68 parsley. A very nice flat leaf variety with an unusual parentage. During the Iron Curtain era, Bulgarian scientists crossed a celery with a parsley and got plants that looked like parsley but had a richer, more pleasant flavor with subtle hints of celery. Eventually, they succeeded in stabilizing the variety so it reproduces consistently by seed. More than 40 years later, this unique variety is still widely grown in Europe for fresh and dried use.
Wow, Bulgarian scientists in the Iron Curtain era. They did some mad science and made it taste, instead of bad, good. Here's one from the curled group. Evergreen parsley. This was an all-America selection back in 1940 and is still a favorite in home gardens today. It is a very nice dark green double-curled variety with excellent flavor, perfect for fresh use and as a garnish. In the garden, it is more vigorous and more tolerant of hot and cold weather than other varieties. I'm just going to read the favorite parsley, which is also in the curled group. Sometimes the texture of modern curled parsleys can be tough. A feature added by design to withstand long shipping and to extend shelf life. The leaves can be quite a chore to chew. The favorite is different. It is a curled parsley with a softer texture and a much nicer mouthfeel. It is a tad sweeter, too, making it one terrific parsley for all-around use. 2/3 of that description is why 2/3 of that description is about how curled parsleys suck and are a pain in the ass to eat and are
this is
tough
slightly
and
less bad.
Slightly less bad, yeah.
Like they don't taste good. You can't chew them. There's no reason you would want to. They're absolute garbage. Here's one that's slightly less garbage in case you want it for some reason. Hungarian flat parsley. Hungary knows parsley. It is something of an obsession in the country where one website counted over 2,000 recipes featuring it in one form or another. In Hungary, parsley is indispensable with potatoes, in soups and stews, and dumplings. Greengrocers are supplied by some 3,000 hectares, 7,500 acres, devoted to parsley production in the country. We are pleased to offer this traditional flat-leaved variety from Hungary with a very rich flavor. The leaf shape and size are not as uniform as in modern varieties, but we think variability helps it to resist debilitating diseases, such as xanthomonas that plague other varieties.
What are some, like, parsley-forward dishes? There's, of course, tabbouleh, yeah, which we just had last night, and I named as one of my favorite foods recently. You put parsley in borscht, not blend it into it, but have it as on top of it, not as garnish, like you would eat it as part of it, but placed on top along with like cream or something. I guess you can make parsley pesto, which we've never done. We've made arugula pesto and of course basil pesto, but there look to be a lot of recipes for a parsley pesto too.
We've also made mint pesto. We've made a variety of pestos.
That's true.
Oh, chimichurri. That's something we've had a lot that
is delicious. Yeah, that's a great use for parsley. They also, interestingly, besides the curled group and plain leaf group, have a root group. Both the leaves and its slender parsnip-like root are used. Roots, they say, are excellent for flavoring soups, stews, or steamed to serve with butter or sauce. And they have some parsley roots that look, they look like parsnips or carrots or something like that. Do you want to read a couple of those descriptions?
Konica parsley. Tapered white roots are crisp and tender when fresh and turn a creamy consistency when cooked. The taste is an audacious blend of celeriac, parsley, and carrot, all in one root. Excellent in soups and stews like Hungarian goulash, as fries, or roasted. The wider, shorter roots, 12 to 15 centimeters or 5 to 6 inches, of this variety are easier to dig than others. Sow direct in spring or late fall for harvest the following summer or fall.
Man, parsley root French fries sound pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting presentation.
They also offer the Hamburg parsley, very popular in Northern Europe. Looks almost identical to parsnip, but a little smaller, with 8 to 10 inch long, slender roots and a flavor that is a mix between celery and parsley with a nutty overtone. Leaves and roots can be eaten raw or cooked, adding an excellent flavor to soups and stews, used as a garnish on salads, as well as steamed and served with butter or sauce. Yeah, that sounds good. I'd be interested in trying some of that. We do like a roasted carrots with a bunch of herbs on them as a Thanksgiving dish that I think we're going to break out again this year. Usually parsley among the herbs, but it'd be pretty interesting to include parsley root in that.
All right, well, congratulations to parsley.
Clap along with me so it sounds like multiple people. But the claps can't happen at the same time or else it won't sound like multiple people. Maybe I'll just put in a clapping sound effect. Yeah, great. Good job.
I'm doing some Foley work with the catalog here.
Yeah, congratulations to parsley. Okay, before we go, I do want to go back a couple episodes here. When we did our episode where we talked about giant pumpkins recently, they still had not crowned it looked like there were some contenders for New World Record for giant pumpkin this year, but they hadn't been weighed in a final way yet. But it turns out that, in fact, Stefano Cutruppi, the Italian, the Tuscan, who had looked like he was perhaps on the brink of breaking the Guinness World Record, did in fact he now, as of 2021, has the largest pumpkin ever grown at 2,702 pounds and 13.9 ounces. Looking at an image of it, which I'll link to, looks like absolute dog shit, of course. It's just fucking flat and horrible to behold.
Has there ever been a scandal where someone was accused of injecting their pumpkin with liquid or something to make it heavier?
Ooh, damn. Good question.
Like in a tightly contested prize pumpkin contest. If you could sneak water into the cavity that would normally...
Yeah. Well, the issue with injecting water into it is it might lose its structural integrity and break apart or something like that. I guess you got to keep it together before the weigh-in.
Well, but if you had a... All right, here's how you would do it. You'd have an ultrasound-guided needle, and you would get it into the seed cavity. And then you would fill the seed cavity with water.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I don't know how they'd catch you. I don't know how they could possibly tell naturally occurring moisture from artificially injected moisture.
Okay, I just Googled this.
How did you Google it? What was your search?
Well, I used DuckDuckGo, as you know,
Yeah.
but I searched pumpkin size cheating.
Wow.
And in fact, what I said is, I think exactly how people cheat.
Wow. You're a genius. You're a genius of scams.
A guy got caught. So apparently after he was declared the winner, the sponsors of the contest wanted to come check out the pumpkin. And so he had to, in a panic, try to drain the water.
But how would they have known?
Because they were going to cut the pumpkin open, I guess. Or at least he was afraid they would. They didn't use a needle. I guess for a pumpkin of this size, they actually drilled a hole in the pumpkin, then pumped water into the seed cavity, and then they patched the hole with a cork or something and then stuck.
Or duct tape like your father
exactly.
did.
And then they had to uncork the pumpkin and roll it around to try to drain all the water out so they wouldn't get caught cheating.
The thing is, I'm surprised that water didn't get absorbed into the flesh. Maybe it did, but they were just anxious.
Well, they just didn't want... Yeah, they didn't want it to be opened and then like a bunch of water. Like if a bunch of water gushed out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's at least one pumpkin cheater exposed.
Yeah, well, probably not the first or the last to do it. But anyway, that's the official record right now. Also in the news this week is that the biggest potato has been grown.
Wow. Ever? There's a world record potato.
So, this is not as highly sought a record as obviously the giant pumpkin record is. And it looks like the biggest potato was grown inadvertently. So the world record had been somewhere around 11 pounds, but this one that had been grown by accident appears to be 17.4 pounds, absolutely destroying the previous intentional record.
So it was grown by accident, as in someone was just growing regular potatoes, like to eat.
Yeah,
and they discovered a monstrous one.
All right, listen to this. Here's a news report.
Meet Doug.
Made him a little trolley so he can take him out and give him a bit of sunshine now and then,
Doug is a potato. A really big potato. Perhaps the world's biggest potato. Or at least Colin and Donna Craig Brown hope to find out. The New Zealand couple said they were simply weeding the garden when they found Doug.
I got the fork and jabbed into it and hoiked it out of the ground and holy snapping turtle teeth. What's going on here? What is it? I said to Donna, no, it's a potato. And she went, no. I said, yeah, it is.
The current Guinness record holder for the largest potato is an 11-pound spud from England. Doug weighs in at 17.4 pounds. But even if Doug doesn't get the Guinness World Record certification, at least he's in a loving home.
You, Doug, you're too special.
The Craig Browns are waiting to hear if Doug has officially won the title, and while they wait it out, Doug is chilling in the freezer.
Apparently, it's lost a pound of weight in the freezer. It looks absolutely disgusting. It's
Well, trying to freeze a 17-pound potato sounds pretty tough.
yeah. They're also like, I'll link to the video, but they're wheeling it around in a little cart. And also, their intention appears to be to make vodka with it, because I guess they tasted it, but it's absolutely disgusting. So they were like, "We'll just make vodka."
Did they say whether they're going to try to save the eyes and grow more giant potatoes?
Well, that's a good point, because we learned that like giant pumpkin seeds can go for incredible prices. I wonder if they could sell spuds off that potato to prize growers for some sort of exorbitant fees. And importantly, its name is Doug.
I mean, that's very funny. They seem like cute people.
I agree. All right. Well, if you're so inclined, you can elect to follow us on Twitter at @CDBusiness or on Instagram at CDBusinessPod, or you can email us at cdbusinesspod@gmail.com. Let us know if you want us to talk about a particular catalog. And assuming you can make them into vodka anyway, you should eat your vegetables.
We're all just doing the best we can.
Speak for yourself. It's CD Business. It's CD Business. Boring talk about seeds, seedy talk between boys. Mind-numbing chatter about ovules and spores. We'll dig a ditch and moan and split the difference. Seedy business. It's seedy business.